we're going to specifically in the next couple of sentences talk about the difference between animals that are considered pure and animals that are considered not pure, and the different statuses of those. And we don't learn the purpose of it until after they get out of the ark. But we will
hold on to that question.
We will hold on to the question, exactly.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we didn't get to the part yet where they say, usually they say Zachar v'Nekeva, but it's in Noah, so they say Isha and the animals are talking about husband and wife. Did you know that?
No.
It's somewhere in Noah, I'm positive. Right?
We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. No, but something to look forward to.
No,
he's not back yet, I don't think.
I'll talk loudly.
No, but it's
yeah, the camera's back.
Oh, the camera's back.
Lahachayot, for surviving. This is a munach, so if you remember, munach has that sharp line and then something continuing forward. So this is going to separate itself out from things that are before and then provide for a continuation of the concept afterwards. Lahachayot.
But what you just said now, it's sort of like a horoscope where you tend to personalize and everything seems to apply. Like what you just said about the munach, are there other notes that you could say that about exactly the same? That it stops and leads to something else?
No, we're looking specifically at the shape of a munach.
Right, but then you describe what that means, the munach. But then you say
what we're saying is that every time we come upon a munach, we seem to be able to have that concept to be applicable, that it separates itself out from what is before almost completely, and it tells you that there's going to be a continuation of something afterwards.
What are you describing now?
Munach.
Munach.
What happens in every case of a munach.
Right.
We've gone through many munachim already, and what we've tried to do with each one is to see how that concept of the essence of a munach, that something is completely separated from the things that are before it, and then provides continuation along the line of whatever that word defines.
And that quality that you described there,
that qualifies that quality.
Fit any other notes? You've never said that about. It seems that you've said that about other notes. No.
So there are notes that separate themselves from what is before, and there are notes that connect to what is before. But this note says that there's a sharp demarcation. And a continuation of the concept that it's implying. Whereas Mercha, if you remember, we just read a Mercha Tavi.
Right.
It tells us that the stuff that came before is still important, but it's going to lead into what's going to go forward. So Tavi is going to talk about the food that we were talking about in Mikol HaChaim, because it's a Mercha. If it were a Munach there, then it would completely exclude itself from what was going on before.
But nothing even excludes itself completely. I mean, it's a sentence.
Lahachayot. Look, lahachayot. This is the animals, whatever will be or may be valuable as food for surviving or as a source of commodities to sustain any species shall be worth conserving, as expressed by the shape of the reading one. Whatever you brought onto the ark, whatever you didn't bring on the ark, isn't going to be there anymore. Whatever you brought on, separate from whatever else there is, that's what's going to continue. This is almost a quintessential answer for what a munach is, because it tells you whatever you didn't bring, that ain't going to survive. Whatever you did bring, that's going to survive and continue. And isn't it tremendous that the word lahachayot has a munach under it?
Why is it tremendous? Because
it so completely fits the concept.
It's almost automatic.
It's sort of describing the description.
Yep. And number 8, itach, with you. This is an etnachta. Etnachta, as you'll remember, separates the first and the second phrase in each sentence. It has a stable base and possibly looks up from there, just by the shape of the note. Itach, whatever will be preserved with you will eventually become an asset for you and for your descendants, as specified by the stabilizing shape of the reading one. So whatever you have with you is what you're going to build upon. It's going to be your stable base, and you're going to build upon that. And again, that's the stability of the etnachta, with possibly something looking up from the center of that stable base.
It's sort of foreshadowing what that maybe he's going to take the kosher animals and make Reich Nichol from that. Reich HaNichol, it's the only time. You know what would be a good test, I mean, I'm not on that level, but you are, is that you would read his commentary first, like if you were giving an exam on this, and then, based on the commentary, you would make the notes and then check to see if those are really the notes. You know what I mean? Then we'd really know that we understand it.
That's your homework for next week.
Oh, no, I don't know. I just, no, I don't even know if Jeff's on that level. Oh, no, he is, because he was, we're not there yet. I'm not,
That's
for
an
sure.
interesting.
You know, because then you really know what you're talking, you know.
Moving on. Number 9. Zachar, a male. So this is a mercha. You know, mercha sort of doesn't completely exclude itself from what's gone on before and definitely leads into what's going to come after it.
This is a mercha.
The following rule shall be observed with regard to admission to the box. A pair shall consist of a male who will be in the lead, as illustrated by the directional shape.
Now on top, this is where they get the... but it's cute. Zachar, here, Zachar is perfect. Zachar and Nigel is like a little couple, you know. They're all exclusive to each other. Yeah.
So again, you'll notice that this is not like the Munach. This doesn't separate itself out from the things before. This is saying it's referring to the animals that we were talking about just about.
But isn't there a sort of contradiction there? Because Itach, Adet Nachta, which has the word Noach, and it's just interesting. But Itach itself is like a Munach in the sense that it breaks the. It divides the
just because you've got the sentence divided into two halves, that's the function of et nachta we're trying to say is just to say that this is a stable concept, and it might lead to something higher. So the shape of et nachta is that stable base with something possibly pointing up from it. So it doesn't so much emphasize the fact that
it's not like a comma.
So it has that effect.
Right.
It ends the first thought, but it's more ending the first thought on a point of stability. And what we're trying to focus on whenever we see an et nachta is not so much the fact that we finished the first thought, but more of the concept of stability that word is trying to convey to us. What's the stable point here?
In this one?
So, itach, with this, but every time we come to an et nachta, we're trying to do the same thing.
Right.
So when we come to this one, we're saying, with you, everything that you got with you is going to be the base that you're going to build a new world upon. Zachar unikeva, 10 and a female. For the male shall advance, and a female of the species shall follow her male, as conveyed by the corresponding closing shape of the directional reading mark. So the tipcha, again, leads back to the mercha. The mercha is going to lead into the tipcha, so the one is going to make the other follow.
And complete it. The word kala is like your kala is your completion, not your end.
And finally, yihiyu, they shall be with the sof pasuk. Thus they shall be heterosexual, not a pair of males or two females, and homogeneous, not a male cat and a male dog,
Are you reading it fair?
and a female dog to qualify for admission. We're on the next page. We made it to the next page.
Yeah, I am. And homogeneous. Oh, what is that? Heterosexual and homogeneous. That also sounds like a stira. Well, what's homogeneous mean?
It means that cats with cats.
Oh, not with
dogs, not cats with dogs.
Right.
And the next pasuk. We're on page 14.
When he wrote this, the word gay wasn't. It only meant happy at that point. Because I mean, Rabbi Kropkin's Machatenis did. She's from Mexico. So we happen to mention the word gay. She didn't know that gay meant anything but homosexual, because she's only been in Canada recently, and in her lifetime, gay only means homosexual. No one even knows that it meant, like in the Flintstones, a good example. Yeah. Gay all the time, no one knew what it meant homosexual then.
Meha'of, from the bird.
Oh, we're on a new pasuk now, right?
We're on a new pasuk.
Meha'of, that's how it starts, Meha'of? Right.
So this is a munach. So remember.
But then you're not coming back, or what?
M-
You need a break. Okay. Not from Jeff.
Munach is going to strongly demarcate itself from what happened before, and then allow the concept to move from there. And
again, so each time you're reviewing that page, LX, which is good because until it sinks in finally. Okay,
so
Mapach.
strong. So this is a Munach.
Oh, so that one I know because that's
okay. Strongly separated from what's before, and then providing continuation with whatever this word signifies.
Mirroring the shape of it. I mean, exactly.
So,
the shape tells you. The shape tells you in every case almost, no? Or
That's the whole point.
Yeah. In all of them? We saw that, or not in so much?
Pretty well in all of them. And
what do we say about Revi'i?
So we'll get to a Revi'i in a minute.
Yeah. Okay.
So
the shape part, I mean, whatever. Okay.
So an interesting point on the direct translation that he gives. Normally, when we say mehaof, it would mean from the birds,
right.
Plural. That would be sort of implied when you're translating this on the fly in context of the sentence.
Fly,
but
did
here,
you do that on purpose?
yes.
Yeah.
But here
he's
giving us a direct literal translation because again each word is part of a bigger sentence.
Instead of saying from the
building,
birds.
so instead of saying from the birds, off literally means from the bird singular, not from the species of birds. So
well, in this
just
term, but in this case it does.
But again he's going to take each word singularly and translate it as literally as possible because it's part of a larger paragraph in and of itself.
Right.
So you have to fit it into the concept of the
paragraph
that you've got down below, and it doesn't get what you would normally translate when you were translating this whole sentence as a sentence.
The end is the two of us, yeah.
Number one, a similar criteria shall be applied when choosing from the bird that would qualify for admission to the ark, as indicated by the shape of the reading mark.
Just pause for 1 second. Are we worried about Sue? Should we phone her, at least on herself? Did she phone you to say anything?
I'm sure she's fine.
No, but
I'm sure she's back from New York, so...
Oh, did you speak to her today or no?
She might be en route from New York.
Oh, she might be en route. Oh, New York, with that snowstorm and everything? She was there, caught in that? So and is Arthur with her or no?
I was there since Parshat.
But you know she was in New York?
Yes.
Okay.
So, from the bird, this is the bird who is going to make it into the ark, separated out from all of those birds who didn't make it into the ark, and we're going to continue with this bird from here on in by the shape of Munach.
But wait a minute, but the fact that we know that it was 2 by 2 or 7 even, it's 2 and anyway, okay, let's skip that part. But we know that there's at least 2, so how could it ever be a singular in this, and specifically in the Noach case? Now, you know what I mean? We're saying, as opposed to the species of birds, what you said, but the singular.
But there is one male bird and one female bird. So
okay, but
of each species.
But he's not now talking just about the male or the female. He's talking about at least one pair, right?
We don't know yet. We're going to see how he develops this, right? Because we've got the word mehaof in the quasi singular, if you will.
No, because it would be limino, wouldn't it? If it was singular.
We're going to get to it.
Okay. Oh, minapema is
quasi singular, right? Just by the direct literal translation of the word, it seems to be a singular. So Revi'i, we're going to turn back to our introduction, page LXV, Revi'i number 9. Revi'i is an unlimited superior king who is independent from time and space and does not rely on approvals from anyone. Occasionally he may require the assistance of one or more officials. The Munach that comes in front of it.
You sort of see how Revi'i is by itself, like
so the Revi'i sort of stands alone, and he's making this other concept of it being independent from time and space.
From the fact that it's called Revi'i, that would be easy. We have to get to those names eventually because it's weird to call a note fourth. It almost like if it's Munach Revi'i, then it would sort of make sense because it's the fourth note of that little cup. We
had said before, at least as part of the cancellation, that it has a series of 4 downgoing notes. Rivi-E.
Oh, there's 4 parts to it. Oh, I see.
So at the very least, it
Sing it
is
again?
Rivi-E. So at least as part of the way that it's sung, it has 4 downgoing notes as part of
And
it.
even in the English alphabet, there's 4 letters before E. It's like, doesn't matter that.
I don't know how that fits into anything.
No, E is a pun. E, and the E is the 5th letter.
He's trying to be punny.
Liminehu, for its kind. As long
Wait,
as...
Limino and Limino is the same thing?
Hmm?
Limino and Liminehu.
Yes. One is... They both mean the same thing. One is...
Masculine singular.
They're both masculine singular. One is a more emphatic possessive than the other. Liminehu is a little more emphatic than limino, but they both mean exactly the same thing.
So like in Bereshit, when we're talking about the fruits and everything, what is it there? Liminehu is always Liminehu there, or was Limino there? Was Limino there, I think?
Both.
Oh, okay. So there has to be a reason sometimes, the distinction of that thing.
So as I said, it's the more emphatic, but I don't know that we.
And then the
really
feminine
more
would be
into that.
Lamina, and what would be? Is it an emphatic one there too? Because it already has the hey.
Lamineha, perhaps, is feminine?
Lamina, okay. Right, Lamina and Laminaha. Is one the second? They're both third person. Laminaha. No, Lamina is her.
Right?
So, oh yeah, her.
And Lamina is her as well. They're both third person, yes.
See, it's interesting here because we're saying Me'of Laminehu, and Behema, is Behema feminine or?
This time, yes.
I guess, yeah, because that's the hand.
Number 2, Liminehu, as long as it is accompanied by its own species, it might be acceptable regardless of the mutational difference for its kind. For example, various color feathering, domesticated in wild geese or ducks, etc., is denoted by the broad meaning of the reading mark. So we remember that Rivi is something that stands alone and separates itself out both in time and in space from other things. So we're saying that each species is going to be distinct from the other species. So he's getting that distinction, that difference between one type of duck and another type of duck, specifically from Liminehu, that it has a Rivi on top of it.
Say that part again.
It separates itself out either in time or space or dimension from other things that might be similar to it. So it's separating itself out from this duck is not like another duck. So it will have features that specifically separate it out. How do we know that? Because it's got a Rivi. That's what Rivi implies.
But if you're saying that the Livineu is the masculine, maybe it's differentiated from the feminine, not from another species of duck or whatever we're talking about.
Well, that leads back to what we said for Yihiyu in the previous pasuk. But I don't know that Rivi doesn't imply that we're going backwards. So I don't know that that's more implied by the word itself than by.
I didn't mean to go backwards. I just meant.
But that's where we got that concept that you don't intermix either one way or the other. Umin habehema with a pashta. So this lightly emphasizes the word and looks forward to what goes after it. And
what's the verb in this sentence? Where is the verb? There is no verb. See, that's what bugs me about the Torah. It's not they're not sentences in Hebrew. Psukim are not necessarily. We always learn in English. Every sentence has a subject and a predicate.
The verb is yavo. It's in the second part of it.
It's in the second part. Okay.
Shnai Mikol yavo. Will come.
Number
11. So how is that going to affect the Adnachta? Because if we're saying Adnachta, there's no verb in that first all the way to the Adnachta. Is that possible? Because I think of it, all the way to the next is sort of like a sentence, and it's sort of a sentence and a verb.
So,
but it is important to mention that sentences in the Torah, psukim, are not necessarily sentences in English.
Right.
They almost, sometimes it can be a phrase.
It can be a phrase, and
without a verb even.
It's more that it's a poetic concept.
And on the other hand, they have run-on sentences also something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you balance again the first half before with the etnafta, with the second half after the etnafta, with the first half being the more spiritual or elevated, and the second half being the more mundane or physical.
Oh, I forgot about that part.
So again, we'll try and do that at the end of the sentence once we've gone through it.
Oh, so you're saying whenever there's a nafta, it's always two parts of the sentence, and the first one is the more elevated, and the second half, I forgot. Okay, eventually I'll see. Yeah.
Umin habehema.
That's consistent? You've never found an exception to that? Or, well, we'll see.
Well, that's how you look at it, right?
You look at it and you have to try and find a derivation that fits that model. See, it's part of what we're doing here is a little bit difficult. You really you don't have license to infer your own meaning. So again, the entire concept of the Sefer here is
you're bound by these.
You've given a set of rules, and you're trying to interpret based on those set of rules, and you're seeing the wonderful consistency of those rules. But we noted in the introduction that the good doctor felt that some people might completely reject this work simply based on the principle that you really can't darshan by yourself without there being a Masorah, that's truly what is meant.
So, yeah, because once you go by his rules, then there's really no other interpretation in a way. You could never have another.
Yes, you can put on the Torah, but the point is this provides.
But does this leave room for shivim b'Torah? It's almost
no. So again, what we're saying here is we're getting a version of pshat that is specifically pointed to by the trope. So is this the only one? No, we know that there are other ones, and we know that trope usually points us to the pshat. But can there be more than one pshat? Yes, there can. And certainly there can be more than one drash and more than one sod and so on. So, and more than one remes. So again, it's just another way of allowing us to group and assign meaning.
But of course, like that thing is what we said in the Shema. Vayudrei melashor nach mitzavcha hayom alavecha, or vayudrei melashor nach mitzavcha hayom alavecha. So according to that, there's only one trope there. So we have to go by.
No. The trope gives us the pshat. The trope gives us the simplest interpretation.
But both of those are simple, are pshat sort of.
No.
The things I command you today
anything
should be
else
on your heart, or
just because it sounds like a simple concept doesn't mean that it is the simple meaning.
Right.
Pshat specifically means.
So what is the trouble with that one? Vayudrei melashor nach mitzavcha hayom alavecha. So the things I'm commanding you today should be on your heart. Should be on your heart, not the one that other one about that you crash every day, and so that's more of the remnants you want. Right. So that's a good example. It follows what he said. The things I command you today should be on your heart.
And again, we have number 3, umin habehema with a pashta on it, and from the cattle. If essentials are preserved and the exterior variations of hair color, sizes, etc., shall not be grounds to deny the privilege for preservation, this shall be valid in all selections, and from the cattle, as stressed by the directional shape of the reading book.
I don't know how you could do this. I would not be able to do this on my own. You have to explain it. Could you do
So
this on your own?
Pashta is going to say that this is a word that deserves a little bit of emphasis. It's going to look forward to what's going to come after it, and again, it doesn't exclude what has come before. So we're going to say that even though we had definitions of things according to their different minim of of what we've seen with the birds, similarly with the cattle, and again he takes the word behema, which can just mean generic beast, and gives it a specific meaning, because when you're talking about animals that are in your possession, the usual animal that you speak about is cattle. So he's given it that sense because of the way that the word behema is used later on, rather than the generic sense of just any animal.
Well, behema is usually domesticated as opposed to chaya.
Mm-hmm.
Now, anyway, I was thinking about what's the shorsh, would you say, of the shorsh of behema? I can't think of the three letters. I think it's more about ba and ma. It's one of these two letters each. I think it's two-letter ones. No, front is from Orif. Well, oh, behema, yeah, okay, that, yeah. But, you know what I mean?
What's in them? I don't know.
Bahem. Oh, so, yeah. No, so the bait is not. Yeah, so that's okay. So then it is a two. It's either ba and ma, or just the last hey doesn't count. It's haim. Like, you know what I mean? Malbim said that every short. We were raised to think that it's a three short, it's three, but it's not. According to Malbim, he says it's really two. The short is really two letters, and he learned that out because something's like a word like Carmel. In fact, that's, in the Malbim he has this thing, a yellow shark, where his principles. And he actually says, he starts with the word Carmel. He says in Vayikra, the word Carmel, it's not from Karen. It's Car and Mel. You know, it's Car and Mel. So he learns it from that. It's two-letter shorishes. So what are the ones that we think are three shorishes? It's a root, yeah. So the three letters, it's really the first two letters, and the third is the fine-tuning of it. It's good, so that also, in other words, all words that start with the same two letters are all related. And just the third gives it its own uniqueness.
That's his view. Rashi says that shorashim are variable. They can be 2 letters, 3 letters, or 4 letters. And occasionally he'll give examples of 4-letter ones and occasionally 2-letter ones.
No, 2 and 4, yeah. 2 and 4 are related, because if one word is, it's a 4-letter word, like the Carmel, that's what I was telling you, 2 and 2. So from there he learns
my love, do you remember the name of the guy who we saw at the village shul?
Oh yeah.
When were the village? I didn't know about this.
There was a gentleman who's
oh, I know you're talking. Moseson, Isaac Moseson.
Oh,
for sure.
His theory is that every 3-letter root is in fact the first 2 letters and then the last 2 letters, and you define what the first 2 letters mean and what the last 2 letters mean, and that gives you the essence of what the noun or the verb is.
That's basically what I said about the moment.
No, so he's not, the third letter is not fine tuning. It's not that the third letter is fine tuning the first 2. It's that it's 2 separate roots, first 2 letters, last 2 letters, and you have to put those 2 concepts together.
Oh, so the fall would be the nun and the pay and the lamed. You're saying. That's also interesting, right?
So that's his
right.
That's his
okay.
theory.
But he's still basically he's saying it's still a 2-letter thing.
Mm-hmm.
He never says that's right.
No, he says it's all combinations of 2-letter.
Right.
Every 3-letter shoresh is
really right.
Is really two letters.
Uh-huh.
Limina for its kind,
sort of
number
prove
4.
against that, because when you do anagrams, because like certain words in the Torah can be anagrammed and they have the same meaning, like keves and keves
and kesed.
And kesed, I mean, yeah. So I think that would. Anyway, there'd be a question on his French. Okay, well, yeah. That's sort of, yeah. That's a But it bites the whole two letters. By the way, speaking about that Moseson guy, he's a very good friend of Marty Rosen. And this is very interesting. He wrote the book, The Word. It's my favorite book. That's how I knew you were talking about. And I know when he spoke at Asia Torah, when you went, I'm surprised you didn't call me. I want that on tape, you didn't call me. I would have loved to have gone to that, because that was it was his first time he was speaking in about 25 years. Because what happened to him, he teaches every summer, Noam Chomsky hates him, by the way. No? Yeah, you know how he had a stroke? In Israel. He goes to Israel every summer and he teaches at the Israel Center and doesn't give all these classes about, his whole language thing. But he was taking, that year he was there with his daughter, and they were in the Galil and Tzfat or something, and they were going on a tiyul, and the Arabs had changed the sign. And so he ended up in the desert, and